We are not BEV deniers, but we are BEV delayers. We don't need to have a battery electric vehicle in the market to be able to continue to sell.
Welcome everyone to a special episode of the Evo podcast. Very privileged to be joined by Adrian Hallmark and Marek Reichman, CEO of Aston Martin and Chief Creative Officer of Aston Martin respectively. Welcome gentlemen, thank you for your time.
Hello.
We're recording at the Festival of Speed at Goodwood, but we're going to be talking about a very special car that has just been revealed at Monterey this week. But before we get to that, Adrian, can you just give us an overview of your sort of time at Aston Martin since you sort of walked through the doors at Gaydon, what's been going on, what you've been up to, the pair of you with new product new and stuff like that?
Great. Well, thanks for the opportunity. Good to see you again. And there may be some disturbance through this process with the fantastic noises behind us, and my voice is off, but we'll try and push through both. 18 months. Well, my first day was in Venice, and we launched a car there. What better place? Where there's no roads. But it was the Vanquish. And the reason I mention that, two things. One, it was my first day, but also it was the beginning of a development of our product portfolio or release of new products with new products in new segments that we just haven't had before.
Yeah.
Prior to that, we'd refreshed the DB11 and created the DB12, a big step up technologically, performance, etc. The same with Vantage, but this was an incredible car. So that was my first day. The second day, I'm not going to go through all of them, was back to the reality, back to the office and try to assimilate the business situation. So I've been there 22 months now. What I found was a company that was hugely ambitious. We'd invested literally billions of pounds have been put into the company over the previous 4 or 5 years. More than probably the previous 20 combined. So you immediately realize this is a serious industrial scale investment with full commitment and full intent. No holes barred. In fact, the eye-watering things that I found at first were the fact we were spending way more than I'd spent in similar activities in my previous companies or in known competitors. We were overspending, not underspending. So any difficulties we had weren't because of lack of resources. So great brand. I could not believe both the passion from customers nor employees for the brand. But then when you step out of the company and meet the dealers and then look at general public and the reaction to you in an Aston Martin compared with any other brand I've represented, I've never experienced anything like it. It's almost like you're playing for your country. And not only in England. If you're in France or Germany or Switzerland and you're driving one around, people celebrate the fact you're driving in an Aston Martin.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So very, very impressive first couple of months from that point of view.
So Marek, how do you, to Adrian's point of an Aston Martin is known world over and has a very iconic look, how do you remain sympathetic to that with the ambitions that Adrian has for the brand and the model portfolio?
Yeah, obviously it's always a challenge, but I wouldn't be a designer if I didn't like a challenge, and I think we have an amazing history. We've created some incredible product over the last 113 years. And if you look at the last, say, 2 decades, as we've shifted into new segments with new product as well, and as Adrian mentioned, coming his first day at all new Vanquish, it's really about taking the genesis of what an Aston Martin is and amplifying it so it's there for the next generation, as it were. So I never see our history as a kind of a shackle. It's always an opportunity, because I think if what you're doing as a creative is trying to get exactly that feeling that Adrian just described from a consumer, a client, or Adrian himself, that you see the product and you just go, wow. So we have to keep pushing that forward. And Adrian's vision is very much that we are a forward-thinking business. So for me, I've got to look at what's going to be relevant, not today, because this is all about 4, 5, 10 years into the future as well. So it's about pushing the boundaries often.
And have you got the team in place now to do that in terms of, obviously, Marek's team on design, but engineering, but also the sales team have to get behind you on what you've introduced. You've introduced the the S models.
Yep.
First time sort of there's been a hierarchy in the model range. What
Yep.
was the rationale behind that, and what else can we expect?
So I think, first of all, that all that we've done in the first 22 months, most of what we've done in the last 22 months has been delivered by people that were already there. So the first role, I think, of any CEO or leader of an enterprise is to find the right objectives, and then get enough people to agree with them, and then organize ourselves to go and deliver them. It's not much more complicated than that. So I'm chief goal officer rather than executive. So we have a very good team. And when I first came in, I'll go to day 3 now there. On day 3, we looked at the product portfolio, and we'd put this huge effort to try and do 5 launches in a 2-year period. Very ambitious. And we almost made it. It dragged on a bit longer, but we got there. Valhalla took a bit longer, but it was worth the wait because we got it right. But after that, it was almost nothing. Now, all luxury brands thrive on the basis of giving the consumers another reason to look 2 years after they've purchased. If you do too many, you undermine every purchase. If you don't do enough, you lose customers because they'll look at the next thing that's out there, or they'll just hang on to the same product for too long. I always get worried when I hear customers say, "Oh yeah, I bought a so-and-so, a DB11 in 2013, I'll never sell it." Oh, please sell it. Just buy another one. So our job is to create highlights every 2 to 3 years with every nameplate, create improvements that make it faster, louder, less comfortable in a good way, or quieter, smoother, and more comfortable in another dimension. And the S is one of those dimensions. You can probably guess which one. And we're investigating the other as well. And don't forget, those S's that we've done both of them, and they've beaten the competition hands down in road tests. The DBX, as it should have been at launch, is the resonant kind of phrase that we've heard. Same with the DB12S, the definitive Aston. How can you do better than this? Well, watch this space, because we've now pushed the team on body stiffness, the way we mount engines, subframes, and how we get the body to work with the hard bits that move around, noise insulation, noise amplification, dynamic improvements, and 120 to 160 more horsepower in every derivative. So they drive better, they get round tracks better, they're better on the road. And we've now got this toolkit, even within the current platform, to create real differentiation. And then every 2 years, you can relaunch DB12.
Yep.
For customers, for the press, and for the world at large. And it keeps reinforcing the nameplate. So these constant, not frenetic, but constant drumbeat of product action, every nameplate, every year there's 1 or 2 little things. So every 3 years, you get 6 or 7 highlights instead of 1.
Yeah.
And that's how we amplify the brand.
By not having that previously, Marek, was that a challenge for design because you only had one nameplate and it had to be a Grand Tourer, a sports car, a super sports car, but there was no nameplate, it was just DB12 and you wanted it to do everything, but visually it also had to do everything?
Yeah, obviously, the more, as Adrian said, the more you're able to excite a new or the same consumer in 2 years' time. So, and the only way to do that obviously is how does it perform, but also visually, how's it changing? Because if you're a fan and a customer and a client and you've got a collection of cars, you want someone else to know you have the latest.
Yeah.
So if you're not iterating, how do you know you've got the latest? So an S is a perfect example. Go down the road, that has 4 tailpipes in a different orientation. It has to be an S. So when you don't have that, you're almost stagnating. So you need to bring that in to get the consumer to look and say, this is the newest, you must have one.
Yeah. And how, from a engineering point of view, obviously the engineering teams, we've got another 120, 30 horsepower, more cooling, more aero. How is that then influencing design that you think, actually, we haven't had to do this in the past? Is that another challenge, another opportunity?
Yeah, it's another
express?
opportunity. At the end of the day, it's an opportunity to get a slightly different appearance. You're keeping the DNA, the core DNA of the brand. We have an amazing grille. We have an amazing human-like face that the products have. So it's adding a little bit more attitude or more character to that as well. And if you look at that portfolio change I mentioned, going from purely front mid-engine cars to having the mid-engine car that has a lot more aero. It needs a lot more cooling in different places, and that kind of aesthetic then is applied back when you've got a greater cooling challenge or breathing challenge for an S.
And is that influencing next generation of cars, what you learnt with Valkyrie previously and now Valhalla as a more series production car?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, each time you iterate something, you learn from it, and these were very much different segments for us. Obviously, Valkyrie was a completely different product to the product Aston had done before. And so having that and having the knowledge, understanding the aero, understanding the reaction to that as well. And we almost minimized also, we took the grill away on a Valkyrie, but people still said, that's an Aston Martin. So for me, that was, okay, how little can I do to make sure something is still an Aston Martin?
Yeah.
And how obvious do I need to be to differentiate from that as well?
Because on Valhalla, the press have said, it's amazing, it is a fantastic piece of kit. Normally, if we give that sort of ringing endorsement, it doesn't sell. Yeah. How's it gone down? It's a very different car to everything else that Aston has done. Mid-engine car. Is it customer base, existing Aston customers? Has it brought new people in? As a car before it started before your time, it went through many iterations and Bond films and everything before we saw it. Is it what you hoped it would do and deliver? Is it?
I think it's better, and the most interesting comment we get from owners that there's two types of owner already. There's those that took delivery before we had a demonstrator, and that's about 220 people. And there's those that actually had ordered it but got to drive it before they got hold of theirs.
Yeah.
The common phrase in the first 220 is, I didn't realize it would be this good. They also didn't realize it would be V8, because when we launched it was going to be a V6. And so you think how that product morphed from the original concept, visually and technologically. So if you'd have said, if by accrediting the car as a great car, it kills demand, heaven knows what we'd have achieved if you said it was rubbish.
Yeah.
Because we're very happy with what we've achieved with having it described as a great car. And the thing that I admire most about it, like you, I'm not owned, but I've driven all the supercars and hypercars, except the latest Koenigseggs.
Yeah.
There is no car I've ever driven that on the road is as reassuring, as psychologically safe and comfortable to drive in that segment as that car. I would argue it's as comfortable as a Vanquish. That's no exaggeration. B roads, you can't believe it. You look at it, it looks intimidating. You get in, it's easier than a Valkyrie. You're in, it's the first impression is there's a lot of screen and the steering wheel's high up. You set off and you think, I've driven this all of my life. And I know exactly where all the corners are. And you feel completely connected to the three-dimensional space that you're in. It's unbelievable. And then when you put it on a track, it's phenomenal. I mean, the turning, the rotation, the way the car is flat, fast, acceleration, torque, everything. There's nothing that's got that bandwidth. Nothing. There's cars that on track are X% sharper, better. You would not drive them on a public road. Valkyrie is a great example. You can, and it's actually quite clever, the suspension, but you wouldn't want to do it for long.
Yeah.
This, you could easily. So we're very proud of the car.
How much involvement did you have in the car? How far down the line was it when you joined? Did you have any influence on, actually, it needs to be more usable, it needs to be as good on track as it is on road? Otherwise, you're alienating the customer base, aren't you, if it's only a track machine? So
being very honest, I got there, looked at the product first time in September when I joined. So we had a deep dive project review. At that point, we hadn't built a car or driven a prototype. And it was due to be launched in the first quarter of 25. Clearly, we stopped that. That wasn't going to happen. So my influence wasn't the technical layout, because that was already defined. The tub developed by AMPT, Aston Martin F1 technology team. Suspension, ditto. Active aero, ditto. We did the whole vehicle integration, powertrain, etc., innovative front axle, innovative gearbox, world first. So my role was I was, if you like, I was the development engineer.
Yeah.
I made sure that we had daily meetings for the next 9 months. all the issues listed, all the problems identified, all the suppliers around the table, all the teams working to solve and improve the attributes. And I have to say, it still humbles me that the effort, the determination, the creativity and the skill of that group of people that brought a car that was never even built
Yep.
to be driven and to be as good as it is, with Simon Newton at the back end doing the magic in terms of the real finessing. But behind that, it's like the F1 driver versus the team. The team that actually got it to do what it did are just inspirational.
And has that opened a new market to Aston Martin, being in that space? It's a big price point jump. You're up against some very established brands in that market that you compete with the front engine cars, but you've now moved into that super hypercar territory. What does that mean for the future? How brave can you be?
Yeah, so it is fascinating. So if you took Valkyrie, 220 cars, I think it was. Around 200 of those customers, it was their first Aston Martin. So a £2 to £3 million car, Adrian Newey designed, but their first Aston Martin was a Valkyrie. I would say all of them now own a core car. That's how valuable it is. You know, if we sell 1,000 cars per year in the UK, and all these people come from markets where we're already active.
Yep.
So through the Valkyrie, we found 200 new global customers. And then we go to Valhalla. That's nearly 70% new customers. 70. Yeah. So you've now got people, and the list price is 935, I think. 5 years servicing, 5-year warranty included. The average price is close to 1.2 million because they all think it's great value. They've come in, and if you walk down the production line, the colours, the specifications, the creativity, I've never seen anything like it. The only doppelgangers, which are quite cute, are the F1 green with black lower and the line accents. There's a few of those. At first, it was probably 30% just visual estimate. Now it's 2, 3, 4% you walk in.
Yeah.
The colours and the spec that people are going for is incredible. So again, you've now got, we've said 999. So let's say 600 to 700 of those are new to the brand. If you add that to Valkyrie, that's like opening up a New England, a new UK market with customers we never met before. And the fact that I talked about the core cars earlier and these derivatives, these are really important, but let's call that the foundation. But actually, we're one of just a couple of brands globally that can operate in this 1 to 3 million price point at volume, not a one-off. We can all do a one-off.
Yep.
But selling 1,000 Valhalla, selling 150 or 110 Valas, etc., at 1.5 million, it's what we do. And the brand is strong enough to perform there, and it's now got the cadence to get even stronger in the core business. So that together is the kind of economic brand and product model that you'll see really expanded over the next few years. And this guy's got the enviable challenge to basically turn that into three-dimensional, desirable form. Yeah. It's the easy job, eh?
Because there was a point where there was the specials at the very top, but as you say, there wasn't the core to back it up for everyone who wanted to be into the brand. And some of those specials are the reason we sort of sat down today, this new car. Do you want to talk us through what this car is, how you started? Because it's a striking looking thing. If you look on evo.co.uk, you'll see the images that we've shot. It's a very striking car. Can you just talk us through the background of this?
Absolutely. I think, going back to what Adrian has just mentioned as well in terms of new customer groups. So that those new customer groups are expecting something new as well. So they're expecting also a change because they've come in from a different market segment. And as they've come in, they're fans of our core cars, but they're also fans of being different.
Yeah.
So this was very much about celebrating a future and not celebrating a past. I would argue that things like the one-off Victor into Valor and Valiant were very much about our history being celebrated. And this is very much about taking the kind of forward future thinking technologies and therefore visual language and moving it into what's next for Aston Martin, but in our core space being put the engine in the front. It's big, it's a V12, it's powerful. So you've shifted the mentality from the classic vision of an Aston Martin in that format to something new and futuristic.
Yeah.
sounds awesome, doesn't it? New and futuristic, based on that new language that we talked about in the mid-engined product. So this car was very much, I like to say it has an alter ego, that it's a front mid-engine car that wished it was a rear or mid-engine car. And that's the kind of visual language it has. But it's a pure Aston Martin. It's the purest form of an Aston Martin because it's wow and impactful.
It's got some very striking aero on this car, both on the surface but underneath as well. Can you just give us an idea of how that's come about, how that's been done, and is that something that you're almost experimenting with that we could see on
again, it's learning and knowledge. You know, the front wing on a Valhalla is hidden, so it's an active front wing, but you don't see it because it's underneath the car. But that gave us a lot of insight and thinking about how could we create the aero in this car to have more of that feeling, but more visually recognizable. Because if you look at our front mid-engine cars currently, they're relatively, let's say, it's not tamed, that they composed. They have a composure. They have a presence through their composure and their beauty, and you recognize them for this incredible surface language. With our outrage internally, we call the car. It's about that kind of visceral sensation of what's happening underneath the car and through the front of the car, and then the explosion at the rear of the car with the quad exhaust system, and this cut-off point where you go from a very kind of almost aggressive but assertive Aston Martin to something which is cut off, and the rear of the car is simply, wow, I didn't expect that. And that was the whole emphasis.
How do these cars come about? This is we should give its name. You want to introduce what your new car is that's been shown at Monterey today?
So the new car will be called Valen.
Yeah.
The Latin root of the name Valentino and Valentina means powerful and brave. It means other things as well. It has multiple meanings, but we thought powerful and brave sounds, it begins with a V. Yeah. And it suits the character of the car. And it actually looks good on the nameplate if you put it on the plinth. It looks fantastic. So
you'll have to edit that drift car out, son.
So Valen is the name.
And where does it sit? It's another special car, carry on from Valiant and Valhalla. Limited series car.
Yep, same again. So we, first of all, with the specials, let's call them, it's very important that we do enough but don't do too many, and that each one is uniquely positioned versus anything we've done, we believe.
Yeah.
So the great thing is now we have a mid-engine platform that we invested a lot of money in, and the current product is called Valhalla. And we've got Vanquish, which is a heavily modified derivative of the DB12 platform. Yeah. Different front end, completely extended, carbon fiber body instead of aluminium, different back end, shorter, etc. So a very different car. So with both of these toolkits, and then playing with engine, gearbox, suspension, and then complete body systems, we can create a diverse range of cars, both on the 12-cylinder front engine architecture and on the mid-engine. None of them will look like the donor car, and they will all have a different positioning. So this is the first of the specials off the front engine 12-cylinder architecture. We'll probably do one or maybe one and a bit more, a twist on another one, or a twist on this one as we go forward. But that will be over about a 4-year period. Okay. So we're not going to do one per year and keep launching them. Similarly with the mid-engine, we have to have a credible cadence, because as I said earlier, even with the core derivatives, if you do one every year and you shock people, and I've just bought this, it's now out of date, and you have the reverse effect. So we've got to give breathing space between these activities. So there will be more, but this is the first of a small number of very special cars, and each one will be uniquely positioned versus anything we've done before.
And how do you make the decision of what these special cars are and where they're going to be positioned, what you want them to look like, who you want to buy them, and price point as well? You know, it's who's it for? Is it for the Valkyrie customer that is new and still wants something else, or is it for the Valhalla customer who wants to step up into something more special?
I think there's a couple of methods, isn't there? First of all, it's our imagination. But equally importantly, it's our imagination based around our knowledge of customers.
Yeah.
And we've just launched the private office, earlier in the year. The top 1,000 customers that are the biggest, most loyal, the super loyalists of Aston Martin. All the Valkyrie owners, all the Valhalla, Valor, Valiant, etc. And regular car customers that just buy them like we'd buy T-shirts, which is fantastic. Rather than buy one, keep it for 10 years, type of thing. We love them as well, but I love the others even more, like my kids. So we know they have different tastes and different needs. We know some people will be outraged by Valen, hence the project name. I think Valor was universally adored, not liked, because it wasn't pastiche, it wasn't retro, cynical. Everybody, I mean, the number of people saying, why don't you just make that the Vantage? Because it looks so new, because it looks from another time, but it works now as well. So you've got different people with different tastes of resonance of the past, or they just want something for the future. So our job is to brainstorm as many ideas as we can. Then exactly as you started to describe, think of the different clusters of mindsets of customers. Now, I mean, Marek, you know so many of these clients over the years. So it's actually quite easy to get to that point where we think, we've not done something in that space. So that looks like a fresh territory we can go play with, and that's where Valen came from.
And I think that's a really important pointer, because there are only so many collectors on the planet. So you've got to give them something they want to collect and add to the collection. So if you then imagine your garage, your portfolio of cars, you're showing someone your portfolio and they say, oh wow, you've got one of those and you've got one of those, and you decided to get one of those as well. So they have to be, then they're related, but they've got to be different enough for you to want to purchase them. So they need to, again, pull the customer into a space. I didn't think you would do that, or I wasn't expecting this as well, but it fits and it works. So you're creating the album, if you like, but then you're doing the hit single that's different to the album, and that's always got to be part of what we do, is understanding those consumers. And Adrian knows them as well from a different life, and I know them from the Aston Martin world. So it's really about, this is it's gonna strike a beat with them, and they're gonna say, I just want to have it.
Over the years, when we've talked about the new core cars coming, when you've given us a design walk around, you talk very much about, as well as the performance and the aggression, and you also talk about the jewelry and the luxury side of things. So you're saying that you've got the opportunity to, the specials up until now have been very performance orientated, very aggressive cars. So has this given you the opportunity to also do more sort of coach built styling and very luxurious end of the market as well? Something different for Aston Martin potentially.
I think there's again materiality is very different on Valen. There are machined from solid parts that we wouldn't typically put in those areas on the car. If you look at the front blade on the car, it's a beautiful, it really is the signature of the car, because it doesn't have an inflection. It doesn't have the typical moustache. That's all underneath this kind of direct line at the front of the car. So we're able to put more jewelry on the car because the language is slightly different, and you're not putting it in the normal places, as it were. We've always had amazing grills, obviously. We've got an amazing opportunity with grills and material, but not typically with the machined or pure carbon parts that sit above or below that.
Okay. And with the performance side of the cars and maybe a mid-engine special, is that allowing you to go to another price point above Valkyrie if required? Or is there a ceiling you think for Aston Martin at the moment? Or is the market dictating that more so than what you think the customers will take?
I think we've proven that the brand, what was the price of the Pro? We've sold Valkyries at 3 million. So the coupe was about 2.12. Spider was nearly 3. The Pro was more. The LM car that we've just done is 4.5 before options. And that's going well. So there's only a couple of brands globally that can perform in that space, and we can. I mean, when you get to 4 million, it's tens of cars, not hundreds. But 1 to 3 million, it's hundreds. In fact, 1,000. So why is that the case? It's first of all the brand, for sure. It's seen as being credible in that space. But more importantly, there's two things. One is the products have to be authentic for the price. So if you're spending 1.2 million on a Valhalla, the technology in that vehicle has got to be equal to or above the price that you're asking. You can't just put a price on a car that doesn't have the substance to justify the price just because it's a thing. So as well as the design aesthetics, we have to have with each of these specials a technology story. So it was manual gearbox in the Valiant, for example, a bit of aero, 3D printing on Valiant, that whole rear end, which was genius, with Divergent that we work with, as well as the engine, the gearbox and all those things. Valen, it's all power, noise, suspension and fun. It will be the fastest, most dynamic front engine car we've ever built for the road, not counting Vulcan because that's another level. Vulcan is the Valkyrie to Valhalla and Valen. You try saying that without having rehearsed it for 20 minutes before you tried. So for me, this authenticity of the technology stack and the sum of the parts is greater than any individual element. But also it's this amazing evolution of the customer population globally. 20 years ago, this market did not exist. No. It existed. But where are we now? 2006, 20 years ago. 2003 to 2006, Bugatti, which one was it? Veyron launched. They struggled to sell 30 Veyrons a year at 1 million euros. And there was virtually nothing else you could buy for 1 million euros from an OEM. You could buy specialist cars. They struggled. They launched the Tourbillon a few years ago. 5 million euros, 99 pieces. Nobody even got to look at one before they were gone. Yeah. And if you look at the scale of this market now, the number of people that have stepped into collecting cars, that have generated the wealth to be able to do it and have the passion to take a Valhalla and just make it their own, and everybody does the same and they all look unique. It's a phenomenon. So we are blessed with the brand that can operate in that space. We've got the technology stack. We're not constrained by a group that we can only use those parts. We go to Graziano, we go to Marvel for the axles. We have created, that is a ground up first principle piece of engineering with Valhalla, and we've done it. Yeah. And we developed suppliers, and we've developed technology. So we're in a brilliant position.
One of those bits of technology is obviously the powertrain. Partnership with AMG several years ago after the IPO, there was Aston Martin were looking at doing their own engines. Is that something that you think you need to go back to look at, or is it better to go out to the specialists and give them a brief of what you require from an engine, whether it's V8, whether it's hybrid, electrification? Is that back on the table at the moment? Where do you go for your powertrain to give Marek his biggest problems of heat and getting air into it?
First of all, we are not BEV deniers, but we are BEV delayers. So we will push out the battery electric vehicle investment until the early 30s. Why? Because from a legislation point of view, we don't need to have a battery electric vehicle in the market to be able to continue to sell until the early 30s. That allows us to spend the next 5 to 10 years maximizing the return from the products that we've already invested those billions in, hybridize them, and I won't go into the details of how far we hybridize, but hybridize them all so that you get some electric discount on CO2, let's call it, and then start the BEV journey. And just like I think Ferrari created the path through the jungle nobody knew was even there with specials, they started this market, which we've been able to join and expand and participate in. Rolls-Royce with the Spectre, Ferrari with the Lucha, Bentley with their new smaller SUV electric. In 3 totally different product segments. We're going to watch that experiment now over the next 3 years and then choose exactly where we position Aston in about 6, 7, 8 years' time. Okay. So we don't have to rush.
And it will be an Aston Martin. You won't bring Lagonda was going to be the electric brand. You just think Aston Martin is the brand for everything. You don't need a
I wouldn't discount ever using. We may use Lagonda one day, but even raising one child is expensive nowadays, isn't it?
Tell me about it.
And if you want to get global awareness and really get the maximum potential from Aston Martin, anything that we do that doesn't say Aston Martin, and I'll say it again just to get another bit of coverage, Aston Martin, Lagonda is a discount on Aston Martin's brand awareness.
Yep.
So until we get to the point, I believe, where we are absolutely winning world championships in F1, smashing it with our core product range, and delivering specials that everybody wants to buy, and the queue goes from here back to Gaydon to buy one,
Yep.
in standing line, that's when we might think about getting more complicated.
I mean, it's having the laser focus as well. So, as we mentioned, each time you're developing the technologies, you're working with our partners, you're focusing more and more on how you can use the technology to differentiate the product. So for me, it's all about that focus, because each time you focus, you get more intensity in the product. And it's clear the consumers are doing the, wow, I've got to have one of those.
Yeah.
Oh, I just spent 1.2 million with you, but I'm going to spend another X with you. And if you don't have that intensity because you're not focused, then you're kind of diluting what you have. So I think it's very much about that focus. Once we've nailed that, the dart keeps going in the bullseye every time, then you can think about something else.
You raised it, so I'll ask you, F1 still really important to the brand? Do you see an uplift on, I think manufacturers sometimes measure it by configurator activity on a Sunday afternoon or Monday morning? Is it still something that the customers want to be associated with? Is it something that brings the value? I think one of your predecessors said the reason for going into F1 is that Aston Martin is known for Bond. We need to go in front of a different audience. Is that still the case? Has it plateaued?
Again, I think if you go back, you don't have to go back long to remember a time where the question mark over the future of Formula One was flashing red.
Yeah.
When the whole world was legislating BEVs, and Formula E kicked off, and there's this Formula One thing going on that, where's that going to go? What will be Formula One in the future? Who would have believed that as a sport, it would now be the best it's ever been by a multiple of the best it ever was? It's truly incredible. So, I turn it around the other way. You think a small brand like Aston Martin, we do 6,500 sales a year in a 100 million car market. But we're known for James Bond globally, every region, every age group. We're known for Formula One. We've got the most successful GT3 team on the track, full stop, and we're in WEC. Most of our competitors, even Ferrari haven't got Bond or anything like it. Most of our competitors would kill for that spectrum of brand awareness activities. So I'll use another child analogy. I can't choose the child because they've all got different costs and different benefits and characteristics. But Formula One has got to be the biggest platform for awareness that any car company could have.
Yeah.
And when we're winning, it'll be even more valuable. But even when we're participating, it's hugely valuable.
I was going to say, winning, obviously, you take part in F1 to win.
Yeah.
But the awareness now with, it's F1 is Drive to Survive, or Drive to Survive is F1. Yeah. So that is that new audience, younger audience.
Yeah.
The numbers are all saying it's also increasing female awareness in F1. Is that just being in it now? Whereas previously, if you were in it and at the back of the grid or midfield, you would consider you were just making up the numbers. But now it has a real value to the brand, regardless of what happens to the cars almost.
I'll let you answer that one.
Well, absolutely. Great example. Silverstone, just a few months ago, we have a Valhalla in Paddock Club. We're driving around at the back of the grid in our home Grand Prix. The Paddock Club is full of customers getting in and out of the Valhalla, enjoying the Valhalla, which is a road car on an F1 circuit. So it's very much about brand again. And if you can make the connection between the green car that's on track and the cars that are on the road, however tenuous that is, the link, there is a link. And that's why the Valhalla was in the Paddock Club for us. And it was the first time a car's been in there, and all the other competitors are looking in going, how come they got a car in there? And all our customers were enjoying the car. So the link is direct. you can't put a KPI on this many people went and that many cars sold, but the link is there.
I'll give an example. I was talking to someone the other day about, remember motor shows?
Yeah, remember them.
Yeah. I mean, they used to cost a fortune. We all loved them. But, you go to Geneva, and for us, to put it, for example, here at Goodwood, or in fact, at Silverstone, we had about 500 people in Paddock Club, all of whom are owners of Valkyries, Valhallas, all the regular cars, 500 people. We've got about 450 over the course of the weekend coming here, and they all join us in hospitality. And they barely watch the race or the track. They're just with like-minded people. They love talking, chatting with us and the specialists and looking around the product. It's a weekend away.
Yeah.
And these platforms, we get 24 opportunities to do that around the world every year. And it's the intimacy of this is incredible compared with, we used to go to the motor shows. I love them. I miss them so much. But when you reflect that, we'd spend a few million at Geneva, literally. To build
And that was just on the hotel.
well, that was on my expenses. But no, when you've rented the stand, built the stand would be $1 million
Yep.
that you then throw away. It's mad. It's like you're building a family mansion and then disposing of it or keeping some of the decorations.
And only had, it was a bit of a
Day.
lottery. Would you be on the stand when the right customer comes past?
Yeah.
Whereas at
Yeah.
F1 and here
Yeah.
at Monterey, you've got
Yeah.
their captive audience
Absolutely.
for
Yeah.
all day at Grand Prix
Yeah.
over
All
the
weekend.
weekend, and you can. It's not the hard sell over if you were to take them to another sporting event that's a football match, 90 minutes. 90 minutes to chat, they're watching the sport and all clear off.
So we could do, for example, for a Geneva Motor Show investment, we could do 5 or 6 Goodwoods, Pebble Beaches, F1 hospitalities with 500 to 600 people that own or in the process of owning luxury or super or hypercars. It's
Yeah, and the background is lifestyle. The background is enjoying like-minded people, and what's happening outside of where you are is part of the focus. But it's the background, isn't it? It's something I'm there because of it, but I'm actually here because of my friends or colleagues or people that have bought a car and I haven't met before. Oh, you've got one of those. Wow. Let me show you what I have in my collection. So people are enjoying being clients, customers, patrons of the brand of Aston Martin in an environment that is surrounded by things to do with Aston Martin and all other brands as well.
Yeah.
So on a motor show, those environments were just sales environments, really. You're there just to sell, not to talk about lifestyle or be with like-minded people.
Yeah. Okay, we'll wrap this up now because you two have a very busy weekend ahead of you. One Aston Martin, one road. What are you picking and where are you going? And you can't get out of this by saying the next one.
I'll go first.
Go on.
Valkyrie LM, Le Mans.
Good one. Who are your co-drivers?
Living co-drivers.
Helps.
Derek Bell, Tom Christensen, and Darren Turner.
Darren for the night shift, yeah?
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's the young boy. Yeah. The Duke of Le Mans, the King of Le Mans, and the Lord, GT3.
Enviable,
Yeah.
but I can't say the same. Obviously, I mean, I've had some amazing opportunities. I've driven a DBR one around Le Mans, absolutely fantastic. I've had the chance to take a Valkyrie round, but if that's what Adrian's doing, I'm going to take a 177 on the PCH all the way from LA up to Pebble Beach.
Wow.
And just enjoy that coast drive in a car that sounds incredible. I'll have hot thighs by the end of it because of where the exhausts are, but wonderful journey in a car that sounds incredible. Yeah.
Sounds perfect. Perfect way to end it. Adrian, Marek, thank you very much for your time. Best of luck with everything that's coming. Look forward to see what we drive next. And yes, enjoy the rest of the weekend. Thank you very much. And everyone else, thank you for this special episode. We'll see you next time on the Evo podcast.